Hey everybody, it is John the Comic Guy, and today I am lucky enough to be interviewing three of the co-founders at a Comic Capsule. So today you're going to see me interviewing Lawrence Lee, who's the co-founder and lead product manager, Andrew Louie, who is the co-founder and main designer, and Eric Johansson, who's a co-founder and the director of engineering. So let's get right to the interview. What can I say? Thank you so much. I really do appreciate you connecting with me after you saw my video.
It was
So,
great.
yeah, thank
So
you again, John. Appreciate that honest review. And Andrew and Eric have done great work. As Joe couldn't be with us today, but we really appreciate the opportunity to be here and talking to you about our product.
yeah,
Yeah,
again, one of the things I was thinking is I wanted to paint a picture for the viewers because um, I think it's important that everybody knows the commitment and all of the things required when you're creating a brand new product, and that ultimately is what you guys did. You kind of started ground zero and created a new product. So um, I wanted to ask you some questions just so the people understand what was involved. Are you all good with that?
yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yep.
So on my tail of the tape, on my video, I found Comic Capsules to be superior in its ability to natively hang on the walls, uh, fit in a standard size comic book box. Its ease of use is off the charts easy, and I love the fact that it has UV protection. And I might ask you guys, how do you prove that UV protection? So, because I don't know about that. And then finally, your price point. So those were the advantages. I ultimately find it to be a very impressive product. Ultimately, I know when you're balancing wants and needs, you could ultimately make the best product ever, but it's going to cost. So, can you guys share um, what did you find that you had to sacrifice when you were designing this because it was cost prohibitive and it would just price you out?
I'll go. That's a great question, John. And it's all about product versus feature compromises, especially from a cost perspective. And we looked at other, interesting features like fire retardancy and other like somewhat vacuum sealing ish or waterproofiness, not waterproof, water resistance. I mean, I was reading a lot this morning about CGC and why they have, they don't actually have water proof, they have water resistance. And, according to what I read is like they have a bunch of other stuff. So those are the features we wanted to incorporate, John, in a nutshell, but we weren't able to because of just like, first of all, development time, and then also costs. So, there's other aspects and features, and how much would the market really appreciate those benefits? So, there's some other things. And I'm sure Andrew and Eric might have others as well, but those are the two that come to mind for me. So I'll let Eric and Andrew what are the things that they wanted to sacrifice, or we didn't get to this in this first round.
Mm.
So, in the development of this product, and actually, I think in the course of developing any product, you kind of start with a brainstorm list. Like, hey, what do we as collectors? Because we're all collectors, we all love comic books, and now is the impetus for this whole thing. Um, and so, in the beginning of any product design, there's always that stage where you just kind of spit out like what's important to you. So we made a huge list of all these things that were important to us, and you kind of go down the list of like what is feasible. Fire resistance or fire retardant is was a little tough, as was what water resistance or sealed, hermetically sealed or whatever. These are things that we would love to have, but we're not able to incorporate into this product because it's tough to get a super clear fire retardant material, etc. So I think we were able to really incorporate a lot of our ideas into the comic capsule, which is why I think it's been, I hate to use the word successful, but I'll use the word adopted kind of quickly by the consumer and artists and retailers. I think it hits all of those points of collectability and protection, portability, but also keeping the cost at relatively, bearable. We would love for it to be cheaper, but there's just so much that goes into it.
So let me add. I remember it was a late night, about 11 o'clock at night. I'm down in Sunnyvale or wherever Lawrence lives. I don't know. I don't want to get the right actual city, but we just had a huge collection of all these products, laid them out on his dining room table while his kids are trying to sleep. And we're just going through all this stuff and comparing all the good and the bad of everything that we can get our hands on, top loaders, frames, and just you name it, we had it. And just sat down and went through it all and said, we've got to be able to take all the best of the features that we see here in front of us and put it together into a package, right? So that's how we are able to put this together. And of course, aside from waterproofing and fire retardant, in my mind, there really wasn't much else. We looked at everything. And so we have I believe, a really great mid-grade product or mid-function product that satisfies the needs of all these other products all into one. And I really, this is why I believe it's been adopted as widely as it has.
Eric, what revision number are we on from the drawings? What I just give the sense, John, his audience, a sense of how many
Okay,
times.
let's be specific.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was about 100 iterations. I don't know the exact number, but just going through the design up to 100 times. Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
And how many prototypes did you actually have manufactured so you can play with it?
I'll answer that. We did I don't know, probably 6 or 7 different versions of 3D steps. 3D prints, and then in terms of our production tooling, I think we iterated that twice max, and so we got it pretty close the first time when it came to production tooling.
Nice.
So
one thing that's standing out to me a lot is you guys are all very well versed. Can you just go around the horn and tell me what is your education? What's your educational background, guys? Eric, you're actually for me on top. Why don't you tell me first what's your education background?
I have a business degree, a 4-year business, Bachelor of Science in Business. And then I've got 3 degrees, one in liberal arts, one in design, one in, I forget some other, I don't even know. It was so long ago. So yeah, 3 AAs and 1 bachelor's. And well, on top of that, I'm like a 30+ year veteran in engineering. I'm probably one of the remaining stories out there where I was able to work my way up from being a drafter, doing pencil drawings, to become a full-blown engineer just by hard work and learning. And I did all that without an engineering degree. I outpace guys that have their masters and PhDs in mechanical engineering. And so it's been a journey of hard work without a engineering degree, honestly.
Don't forget professional, semi-professional pool player. So yeah, you're missing that one as well.
5 years.
Nice.
Yeah, I was pro pool league. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Very cool. How about you, Lawrence? What's your educational background?
I have my master's. I have my bachelor's from Texas A&M. I got 2 masters from Berkeley, mechanical engineering and MBA. And yeah, but degrees are meaningless in terms of once you get to professional world. It's how much hustle, it's how much hard work. Eric is one of the handful of people I've worked with in my life that didn't have a degree, but you can just see how much passion and effort. And so those people listening, watching, the degree you go into is not probably where you're going to step into. It's where your heart leads you. And, there are titles that get you in the door, but it's what you make of it at the end of the day. So, yeah, I have another friend, his name is Scott Haganone. He can't be here, but he's another guy who didn't really have a full degree when he joined. And he's Eric are one of my great success stories. I say all the time, is like, well, I don't care what it is. At the end of the day, is like how much heart and how much effort you put in. So that's what it is.
Yeah.
So
I love it. I love it. How about you, Andrew?
So I went to the School of Hard Knocks in New York City.
Ooh,
I,
nice.
I ultimately got my MBA from Adelphi University, a private university out on Long Island, New York. And then I worked on Wall Street for 20 plus years. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah.
So you guys generally have both engineering, business. I mean, you guys are a pretty well balanced company. From what my observation is, you guys seem pretty darn well balanced. You're well spoken and well balanced. So,
I think the formula that makes the four of us really work is if you made a Venn diagram, we would be overlapping, but we have our other specific skills that we're all individually good at. And when you put us all together, man, the ingredients, I know synergy is such a word that's overused, but we have such good synergy on this team that it's off the charts.
It's kind of amazeballs, especially if you consider the fact that we all live in different areas. So it's just, we just work well together. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
and I could see the chemistry, by the way, as you guys are talking. I kind of sense there's like a chemistry between you guys. So I think that's great.
That,
That
that's
overused thing is if you enjoy what you do, you're really not working a day in your life. But I don't necessarily want to repeat that, but such a cliche. But you guys, hey, if you're having fun with your buddies and you're making money doing it, can you go wrong with that?
Yeah.
No,
I mean, playing with house money, as they say, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. So another question I have is, I find it so cool that you guys have UV protection, and your competitors, including CGC, that they don't offer UV protection. So one, how did you how did you get things UV protected, and how do you test it? How do you know things actually have UV protection? How do I could just imagine a top loader saying, "Hey, we're UV protected." How do you prove it? How do you know?
so Lawrence, you take the UV protection question. I'll take the test results question.
sure. There's been a lot of continued science in terms of how plastics can improve and whatnot. And Joe's not here, but Joe, when we set this out, is like, we saw people having some semblance of it. The really high end people were talking about it, and I was like, our selection of the polycarbonate that we used enabled us to have really good uh reactive agents inside that can give us the proper UV protection. So, John, just to let you know, there's UVA C, B, and A. Those are the three spectrums that C is usually blocked by this atmosphere. So it's B and A that we have to worry about. And, there are various wavelength and spectrums. And so, up to 395 is the limit of A. And you get a lot of that sometimes when you go outside, and B as well. But if you can protect B and A, you pretty much win the game. And so I'll let Eric talk about the results a little bit, but we searched hard for the resins. Obviously, if you're completely dark, you don't have to worry about it. That's why I think there's a lot of people put in the comic book boxes, and you're pretty much UV protected already because there's nothing coming in when it's opaque. But the polycarbonate allows us to have a really good resin that we can put in to give us that UV protection. And I'll turn it over to Eric in terms of test results so he can explain a little bit more about why we know we have good UV.
Yeah, so that brings me back to a question that you asked earlier about what do we sacrifice. Normally when you see UV stuff or coated whatever, this UV resin that we're using within the formulation, there's a limit to how much UV protection we can add as an additive to the plastic. Once we hit that limit, the moldability becomes problematic. So we're able to maximize the amount of UV resin within the plastic while maintaining moldability. Okay. For a flat piece of plastic, that's different. This is 3D molded, right? Or plastic injected molded. So that was another thing back to that point. Now, in terms of validating our performance, we did empirical testing on everything from UVA, B, and C. And we published those results. We compared them to some other products on the web that you can purchase. And we also did one more thing that nobody else did. Not only did we claim the UV protection, but we actually provided the data as terms of the UV energy that we're using and the UV wavelengths that we're using. And that is online on our website. And what I found during all this UV testing, which I thought was interesting, is that most other products out there, they do a really good job of the ones that claim UV protection. They do claim their products perform at a level of UVB, which is I think 365 nanometers wavelength. We tested ours all the way up to 395 and found it surprisingly, compared to everything else, it was doing way better than a lot of the other stuff out there. So that's one thing that we did differently here is we published the actual data and our test setups. So it's all transparent. You can go look at it online right now.
I love it. I love it. So you mentioned there were about 100 different revs or iterations and 2 prototypes. From beginning to end, how long of a process in terms of months, approximately? How long did it take from when you guys were just brainstorming your wish list until you actually had a customer deliverable that you're ready to ship item number 1?
Well, on the design side, about 6 months. And then to production, that took another 3 months. Out to, yeah, we did Kickstarter when August 2023. Is that right, Lawrence?
That's about right.
Okay, so maybe like yeah. But there is that whole conceptualization part before too, right? So design part was hardcore 6 months where Eric, between his day job and that was we puffed that around for at least good 2 to 3 months or even more. Andrew, what would you say?
Yeah, probably around 3 months. I would say there were a lot of drawings, a lot of sketches, a lot of napkin sketches that were passed back and forth, a lot of texts like crossouts and revisions on pencil, pen and paper.
Yeah, yeah, and don't forget we changed the whole architecture of how this thing capsules itself, right?
Right. I mean, we had another version before Eric got into design because Eric had to approve the design. Joe and I were running a prototype to just see how it feel, and it was a different architecture of how the mechanism was going to clamp on. Eric redesigned it to where it is today, but like all those things, like it just those add up, right? And we're only seeing each other twice a week, and texting on the side and whatnot, and yeah, I think if you add up the time of 3, 9, and another, let's call it 4 to 5 months of, getting the tooling ready, and then also another 6 to, 2 to 3 weeks, 2 to 3 months of shipping delivery. Man, it was a lot. And John, I'll tell you an interesting story that a lot of people don't know. Because we had committed to the Kickstarter that we were going to hit a certain date, we actually flew the first batch in so we would make our commitment.
Really?
And it was really expensive, but we wanted to honor our commitment on the Kickstarter. So even though we could have waited and said, hey, we're going to get it late, we said, no, those guys, we promised and we'll fly it in. So we flew in the first batch to fulfill the Kickstarter, and then everything else we just until we got it in Andrew's hands, and then we launched the online store. But we flew that first batch in because we promised our Kickstarters and we wanted to be good to our word. So,
but you know what? That actually really, and that really paid dividends for us, huge dividends, because people saw that and really appreciated it. And I think there was a lot of organic momentum gathered from that, where people were, who participated in the Kickstarter were like, oh my God, this product is fantastic. It came on time. And, as we all know, or maybe not, sometimes Kickstarters don't necessarily come out when they make a deadline for, if ever. So the fact that we came in on time with a superior product, people loved it. And that's when really the groundswell of the capsule really took off, I believe. And so flying them in was the thing to do, and apparently the right thing to do.
Yeah, say that's basically solidifying your guys' commitment to the product. You're willing to And the people might not have known about that the extra funding needed to do that, but the fact is you met your commit, and I guess a bad first impression could have damaged it, but because you made it an irrelevant factor, it worked out great. So,
Yep.
Yep.
out of curiosity, how many hours a week are you guys working? And I'll do the caveat whether you're working, whether you're conceptualizing. I guess how many hours a week? I guess what I'm asking is that you're not spending time with your families, that you're not going out, hanging out in bars because you're working. Whether it's a day job, whether it's this, the combination of what kind of a workload are you guys carrying with you?
I can just tell you, I put a significant amount of time to this. That's about all I could say.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So when you say work, you're talking about our normal job plus the time, or just our total work time combined, John?
I
I
would
just
say
want
your total work time combined. You don't have to get into the other job, but just what's your hourly commit in weeks per week that you're working? And the reason is if somebody goes, oh man, I could crank something like that out, and I could probably do it in about 2 hours a week. It's like I want to call BS on that. I'm just curious what you guys are committing and putting in and sacrificing.
So for me, I think it's kind of hard to quantify because I think we're constantly, reading emails and or replying to customers, retailers, or artists about different questions and or fulfillment. Um, and then we have bi-weekly sessions that brainstorming sessions for this product and or roadmap stuff. So I mean, to quantify it, I would say for me, maybe 30 hours combined a week, give or take.
And that's
and that's just
just
this portion. That's just your comic capsule life, right, Andrew?
Yeah.
If you put your
Yeah.
other life in, that's
Oh,
another
no. Yeah.
3 hours
That's
or
another.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you're doing
Yeah.
another 40-hour gig, that's about 70 hours of full working, almost two full-time jobs. Lawrence, how about you?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm easily in that range of. I'm a workaholic anyway, and it's one of these things where if you ask me if I combined this plus my day job, it would have been easily like 70 hours as well, 60, 70 hours. No problem. I mean, to Andrew's point, like I'm checking email, like, oh, someone's talked to something and I talk to Andrew, help me out. Or, hey, Eric, they have a question on this. And I'm like mission control and on the customer service side right now, and then also product development side. So easily 70 hours a week. And it's random. Like it'd be like 3 a.m. because I couldn't sleep. That's an hour gone. But yeah, and then poor Eric's actually up at 2 o'clock talking to his partners in Europe. Sometimes. So I mean, I see emails from him at 2 a.m. So yeah, I mean, 70 hours combined for both is probably a realistic number.
Nice. And
One thing I don't
um,
want to, I want to mention Joe. He's our other partner, and that guy's running around to supplier, checking our quality control in our factory, looking at different suppliers and discussing different ideas with other suppliers. He's all over the place. I'm just amazed at the amount of work that Joe puts in as well. So I wanted to acknowledge that in case he watches this.
I'll make sure I send you the link. I love it. So, guys, are you all married?
Mine's the easiest. No.
I'm guessing Eric and Lawrence, you are married, huh?
We're
For now,
married.
but
Yeah,
at
we're
70,
married. Go ahead.
Lawrence may knows. May not be for long at 70 hours a week.
So, and that actually is the next question, and I guess I won't answer this for Andrew, but do you guys also have kids?
I've got 2 kids at 3. Joe has a 13-year-old that I know that he's working. They're he's always taking care of Purple. And then I'll let Eric answer.
16 and 21.
All right, so you have a busy life in addition to a busy personal life. How how flexible or understanding are your spouses for the amount of hours you're putting in? Again, it's not a 40-hour work week now, is it? I mean, we're talking in excess of 60, 70 hours of working. That's got to cut in a little bit on family time. Why don't you speak to me about that a little bit?
I'll start. I've brought my daughter in um, to the business, right? And I think she's 16. She did some artwork for us for a simulated comic that we throw in our website. They understand where I am, and I try to do all my work in off hours, meaning when they're going to bed is ideal for me because then I can focus on this. I try to. It's a balance, right? You have to enjoy your family and get in your work at the same time. And the only way that I can find to do that is, during the day, I'm trying to spend as much time with them, and in the evenings, late nights is when I'm doing this.
Mm.
So
I have a very understanding wife. And she, every time we have meetings, she's just like, yeah, I know, just take care, go and I'll take care of the kids. And a lot of off hour works, Andrew works, we don't do many conventions or shows, but I know Andrew's worked one, Eric will work one. I will go to San Diego Comic-Con. And so all of us are sacrificing when we can. And it's just, but it's not, but family's priority. I mean, that's a fish, we make that, like, if someone can't make it for family issues, we don't go, right? It's fine. It's we have to, maybe that Venn diagram we refer to, because we can help each other out sometimes here and there. You miss something, you got to take care of family commitment, go do it. And someone else will pick up. But as it scales up, we're going to have to find other partners that we can trust and, be part of this family too, right? Because this is an organization that we also want to grow, so that we don't have to do this every day, but it's going to be really fun to do this. But our families have been wonderfully supportive. Eric just mentioned his daughter, but his wife sort of advised us a little bit on advertising. His brothers come to help. His other daughters come to help a show once. I mean, Eric's got the whole family sort of involved in one way or other. So hats off to Eric, and getting the family sort of being part of this journey with
yeah,
us as well.
I show them the prototypes. I like show them the design cycle. I'm like explaining comics to them and what a bag and board is. All this, so my whole family knows about comics now, right?
Yeah.
So
So the fun part too is like we'll have like naming contests that we show to our friends and family, and like so that really incorporates our friends and family and loved ones into the process. So that there's some kind of commitment on their part too, that and they're having fun. So
Yeah.
it's not all just hard work, and it is hard work, but it's not only that. There's some fun aspects to this whole thing as well.
Yeah,
Sure.
it sounds that way. You mentioned the Kickstarter. Besides that, did you get help with your funding through corporate sponsors? Did you take out a business loan? Was it all through the Kickstarter? Did you invest any of your own money into the business? Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
We
Go
threw
ahead,
in money out of our own pocket up front, and the Kickstarter didn't even really fund our product. We did, but we threw the Kickstarter out there to help people kind of get to know it and maybe help fund it, I guess. But yeah, we self-funded, and even to this day, I don't know that any of us has taken a penny out of the company. Any of the
Nope.
it's amazing. We actually went into the black probably what 4 months after getting our product fully launched. I think November 2023, and every penny we put back into the company, and we continue to do so that we can develop more and more stuff.
I love it. And I'm a financial guy, right? That's what I do. So, out of curiosity, what was your business model? Did you expect it to be paid off in the black 4 months, or was that just a great surprise?
Great surprise.
I think to me it was a great surprise.
Yeah.
I was expecting a much longer timeline to kind of recoup that initial money that we all invested.
Yeah.
I will say, I gotta give out kudos to Chris, Sylvia, and Puff,
Oh
um,
yeah.
our advertising geniuses. So Chris and Puff, or Chris and Sylvia are my friends from California, and I asked them that, hey, can you help us put some marketing and some base plans together? And they really, that November December push where we helped us really accelerate it was a huge call out from Chris and Sylvia. And then Sylvia said, hey, I gotta leave, but let me introduce you to Puff. And Puff didn't miss a beat. So Puff is still with us today and helping us on the marketing and take all the advertising on Instagram and Facebook. So I think that's a huge reason of also spreading more proliferation. Because if you asked Andrew, myself, and Eric about what's a TikTok or what's an Instagram, well, we wouldn't know anything, right? I mean, we didn't know how to set up anything. And so Sylvia, with her background in retail, and Chris with his background in product, they sort of helped us launch and light this rocket booster for us. And I think that's one of the reasons why we were able to get profitable in in 4 months. But I had set a very ambitious target. I said, hey, I want to hit this target in 6 months. And we not only did get profitable in 4, but we hit the target in the 6 months that I wanted. So it was a huge call to them for really continuing to generate that, momentum. And I get friends all the time, it's like, you guys did it right. I mean, how much are you guys writing all this content? I was like, I'm just smiling in the back of my head because Puff, Sylvia, and Chris, really laid a good foundation for us.
Yeah, they were really like the booster rockets for this, vessel, because we were on a nice trajectory going upwards, but they really like just accelerated everything. Sales and presence online, and they've been fantastic.
Yeah.
That's
But
great.
a very solid marketing roadmap and plan that was well executed and continues to this day.
Yes.
And I think the question, and I'll get to it a little bit later, because I love the fact that I heard reinvestment. So you're reinvesting into the business. So later, a little later, I'm curious on if you could share anything's coming down the pipe. But so one of the things that in my tape when I did the comparison video, and again, you guys were freaking great sports. So thank you for being such great sports on it. So in that tail of the tape, one of the things that I expressed was so important to me was capsule size, or generally the size, because I like to flex my artistic muscles and make custom labels, which again, some of the feedback you gave me was you really like those labels. And to do that, I needed a little bit more real estate on there. So again, generally as a collector, and again, I know there are all types of collectors, and it seems like you certainly have the market for people putting these comic capsules in a standard size comic box. What about for guys like me that and I'm thinking there might be some multiple and flexibility to put different size books in a single capsule if it was more like the 13-inch by 8 1/4 size, I guess for lack of a better way to phrase it, the typical graded book size. And the reason I like that is, again, I like uniformity. And I think a lot of times I see comic collectors, and comic collectors are among the most fastidious OCD people I've ever known.
Mhm.
They put all their books, they line them up, and sometimes it almost impresses and intimidates me. It's just like I don't even want to touch their collection because it's so perfectly lined up. And so again, that's a long-winded way of asking. Any chances of you making modifications? Because again, you have the standard comic size box capsule now developed. What about the future? And have you given it consideration to give me a little bit more real estate on these capsules that I can that I
So
can put my label on it?
I will I'll start the answer, and Lawrence and Andrew, I'll let you guys finish. The first thing is that we have already gone through a second version of our modern capsule size. That second version, which we haven't really advertised much at all, I don't think, but went through 7 design improvements, including strengthening up the hinge up at the top, um, adding more ribs to the upper structure, doing a few changes here and there to make the product visibly better than it was before. Much of that was based on empirical input from additional testing and a lot of input from our existing customers. So in terms of our future roadmap, I'll let Andrew or Lawrence take it from here.
John, love your question. As you know, we do have roadmap plans for something of that nature. We hear our fans and we hear our customer base. I mean, I can't go by at least 2 days without something. When's silver? When's gold? When's magazine? Where's my TMNT? Um, I think the outer dimension question for graded slab is a good one, and it's something that we'll definitely consider. And it's one of these things where once we as collectors, and everyone collects differently, John, and that's why we totally respect your decision on your tail of tape. Everyone collects just differently, and people that want to have all graded comic boxes, all right, let's go Target and make that better for everybody. People that have magazines, let's go Target and make that better for. So just letting everyone know and your fans know, we hear you. We're thinking about it. We will get to it as soon as possible. Eric is a one-legged man in a butt kicking contest right now, so we do what we can in terms of like getting to that as soon as possible. But yes, we would love to. We would love to get something where if itches the OCD itch for every comic collector, and they can scratch at it. But people should be very happy with the roadmap we have for the rest of the year. It's going to be surprising for them. They're oh, I never thought about it that way, and that's why we're here. I mean, our motto is protection through innovation, right? And I tell the team this is like, I don't want just if we're going to release something to the market, let's make sure it's not been there, or if it's been there, we're going to do something drastically better, than whatever product is, because the market needs innovation. It's not just like no disrespect to the current products that are available, but no one innovated on that. They just made it and just kept printing money. But who took the time to make it better? And that's why, as collectors, we thought, hey, we needed to step up, and that's how Comic House came in. But we hear you guys, and we're all sacrificing our personal times to make people's and collectors, dreams come true from that perspective.
So yeah, and just to continue on what Eric had just talked about, is the design improvements for the comic capsule. Like, we could have really just left it well enough alone. Like, people love it, but through Eric's continuous testing, and he just really wanted to make it better, like for no other reason than to make it better and stronger and more durable. We literally could have just taken that initial mold and just ran with that for the next 10 years and been fine, and customers would have been fine. But we just wanted to make it better. We want to continuously make it better. So we're setting a bar, but we're not staying content with that bar. And that's the thing that I love about this, is like, we'll talk to each other in our bi-weekly meetings and say, hey, about this on the design, can we make this slightly better? If for no other reason than to make it better. So,
Yeah. Right. The other thing, Andrew, we listen to our customers, right? Even, I mean, the slightest comments that you see on social media or direct on our website, we read every one of those comments, every one, and we listen, and we are eventually going to respond to these, right? This is what our customers are going to drive what we do, right?
Very impressive.
Well, a really important point on that is that we are our own customers.
Yeah.
So like, the whole origin for this was like, hey, like, why do we only have choices between bag and board and grading companies, right? Like, there's somebody mentioned before that this is a perfect mid-range, mid-tier option. I disagree. I think it's at this price point, I think it's a great low tier to high tier option. So it's everything from bag and board speculation to I literally keep some Silver Age comic books in my comic capsule because I like the way they look. I love the way they present. And I used to say, like, when people would ask, I used to tell them, yeah, it's a great mid-tier, product protection. but no, it's a great high-end protection. I don't want to pay $70, including shipping back and forth to a grading company. No, you know, I'm comfortable enough keeping mine in a comic capsule.
Yeah, I gotta say, I was very impressed, and it's funny, Eric. You mentioned that you guys improved the hinge. Uh, I don't know if you saw my video. Initially, I was a little delicate with it. Then when it popped open, it's like, whoa, this thing ain't delicate. I don't need to be delicate. I popped it open and I did it a couple times. It's yeah.
Dude, I don't know if you saw, we posted a video. I built a mechanism to open and close that thing over 10,000 times,
That's
and it's still closes fine. So
That's impressive. So you mentioned Silver Age. Can you pre-announce when? Is there a time frame when you're expecting the Silver Age to come general public?
More information around SDCC, but it's going to be around, you'll hopefully early fall, late summer, but ish time frame. But more announcements coming pending San Diego Comic Con. So have your people subscribe to our emailing list. They'll get announcements. We'll try to get people who want to pre-order or whatever. So it's coming soon. It's just, let's say that, right? So it's, if it was trailer, this would be trailer 2 of trailer 4. Right. So we're gonna have a lot more information, and so in the next coming weeks you'll get all the information, because I actually have seen the prototypes. Will be not prototypes, the production units. I will get some of the production units in a couple weeks, so we are ready to, we're close to rocking and rolling.
I love it. And obviously, we'll stay connected because Lawrence. Ultimately, I should tell you some of the other stuff I collect because, hey, if those are a roadmap too, right? It's John the Comic Guy doesn't only collect comics. Well, gentlemen, I really want to thank you so much all for your time today. I think if there's any takeaway for my viewers to just be aware of, because I think, and I'm guilty of it myself, right? I get very picky about stuff. I just, at the drop of a hat, I just create a video comparing things, right? It's so easy to do that. However, I think what people don't ever take in consideration is the commitment that the creative team put into it, the time, their own finances. That's big, right? You put your money where your mouth is. And again, the thing that I think is so impressive to me, whether it's scholastically, real life, School of Hard Knocks, you guys are all smart guys. I think it's just evident for me and the viewers. We're going to watch. It's like, yeah, these guys, they're not hacks. And you have 3, 4, and then a smart team around them creating good products. I think that's exciting. It's exciting for me that you're talking to me, and it's exciting for me to test out your new products. So if there's anything else the 3 of you might have to say in closing, please feel free to say it now.
I'm happy to.
I just want to be the first to thank you for having us. I really enjoyed watching your video, and I find you very entertaining, and you're a very nice guy as well. So it was really a pleasure being on your show.
I appreciate it. By the way, everybody, I actually mentioned his name incorrectly, and he mentioned it. It's actually Andrew Louis. So Andrew, accept my apologies. I get rolling and I'm a man on a mission, but I apologize.
It's all right. My French ancestors will forgive you.
We really. Eric and Lawrence, anything else from you?
Well, I can go to bed tonight knowing that I'm not a hack. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So professional. I mean, you're just intelligent. It's impressive.
Thank you. I do like what you do, and keep up the good work. And thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you.
Just want to say thank you to you and the fans and all of our fans and all the people that support us, continue to support us. We didn't talk about those 7 changes that because for us it was like it would have made them. We just want to improve it, and so people notice or not notice it. It's just subtle, but we will notice, and so we didn't publicize it at all because we just like, let's just keep going, and it's better for the product, it's better for the customers, and it was like one of these things where we're like, we just need to do it because it's the right thing. But again, thank you all the fans. We hear you. We want you to know that we hear you. We do read everything. Check your spam boxes if we respond, and sometimes it goes there. But John, scholar and a gentleman, thank you for your time as well. So really appreciate you inviting us to the show. Thank you.
Yeah, it was fun being on here.
That was
Thank
great.
you.
So from John and the Comic Guy and all of his viewers, thank the guy from Comic Capsules. And if you guys have any questions for me from for Comic Capsule, feel free to send me a message, and I'll make sure I communicate that to Lawrence as well, so I could be kind of a conduit of communication for these guys. So everybody, thank you for joining us today, gentlemen from Comic Capsule. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, those guys were great. I got to tell you, I really want to give one more time a big shout out to Lawrence Lee, Andrew Louie, and Eric Johansson. Those guys were so candid with me and straightforward, and um, I'm excited to see their next level of products coming out. So I want to thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this content, I would encourage you to please let people know about me, and also please hit the subscribe button. And feel free to, again, use that UCG symbol on the lower right-hand side. You click it, and that should subscribe. So everybody, thank you for joining me so much. I will see you the next time. Thanks.